Hi, Aries, Aries rising. Let's talk a little about the astrology of 2026 and what it signifies for you. Here we have a chart from the last day of 2026. There's a lot of astrology between then and now. We can't cover everything today, but I have honed in on three transits, three pieces of the astrology of 2026 that I think might be most significant and influential for you. Let's start with the Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries that is exact on February 20th. This conjunction between Saturn and Neptune is by far the most significant astrology for you this year, Aries. It might even be some of the most important astrology for you this decade. This year, we have Saturn and Neptune entering your sign of Aries here in your first house. First house is about your identity, your intuitive, sort of instinctive expression of your identity. Your appearance shows up here in the first house for that reason. We're talking about expressing your identity into the world. And there's something in the first house about your relationship with yourself. Neptune enters Aries on January 26th of 2026, and Saturn enters Aries on February 14th. And you can see that by the end of the year, thanks to Neptune's slow movement and some retrogrades, Neptune is still just at this first degree at the end of the year, and Saturn's pretty close too. So this is a transit that you'll really be noticing throughout the year. What's extra fascinating about it, Aries, before I describe all of the significations and what this could mean for you, is that on February 20th, these planets will be exact at the 0 degree point of Aries. We're not just talking about the first degree of Aries here. We're talking about the first degree of the zodiac. This transit signifies profound new beginnings, fresh starts when it comes to first house matters for you. The way you express yourself in the world, the way you look, the way you relate to yourself is getting a big refresh, a big reset in 2026. Neptune is about dreams and fantasy and illusion and unconditional love. Saturn is about responsibility, maturity, finding a way. So these two coming together is really beautiful. Saturn is holding Neptune's hand as they walk across this Pisces-Aries threshold this year. And Saturn is helping Neptune get settled. You're not just going to dream about who you'd like to be, how you'd like to relate to yourself, how you'd like to show up in the world and relate to others, how you'd like to present and appear. Saturn is going to help you find a way to make those things happen, make them real, make them tangible. There's something so spiritual about Neptune, and then Saturn is so practical. So you might be finding ways this year, Aries, especially towards the beginning of the year, to take some of your highest ideals, your spiritual side, and ground it in your expression in a whole new way. Because we're talking about the Aries degree point here, this 0 degree point in Aries, and such slow moving planets, this is a little extra profound. Neptune brings in things that we couldn't really imagine before the transit. So some of these things could shift in ways that it's really hard to imagine at the beginning of 2026. But it might be interesting to look back later and think about how fantasies about how you can express in the world became real this year. How you started to show up really new and differently. There's such a maturing to this, Aries, but without losing any of that sense of wonder, to be mature and responsible and also full of dreams and unconditional love. Have a rich spiritual side of your expression, but for that to feel grounded. What a cool transit. As an Aries, Aries rising, you like to start new things. You like to break new ground. You don't need the trail to be blazed ahead of you to start walking. And this might be a year where that really comes through a little extra strong, Aries. You might find yourself doing things you've never done before, maybe things that you've never seen anyone do before. You are likely showing up in ways that you don't have a blueprint for. You're blazing the trail. This is your unique expression. I think that you feel fired up and ready to go with this transit from the very beginning of the year, especially once Neptune moves into this house and sign in late January. And then once Saturn comes up to join for the conjunction, it sort of hits another level. Now I want to take a look at another chart. It also relates to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, though, Aries. That conjunction is such a big deal for you this year. We'll be talking so much more about it as we go, not just in this report, but throughout the year. Can you please take a look at this chart for the Aries full moon that occurs on April 17th? Look at this absolutely loaded Aries first house. I have never seen a house quite this loaded. And it's sort of easy to lose the Neptune Saturn transit through the trees here with so much else going on. But I do think that this new moon time could be a time where the sort of promises of that Neptune Saturn conjunction could sort of blossom or bloom in some way. This could be a turning point for that energy. Okay, let's just take a quick look here at these planets and talk about what's going on in this part of the chart. So we have Neptune here has moved on to a bold second degree by this point. Neptune moves so slowly. And then we have Mercury here in Aries. No Mercury retrogrades in fire signs this year. That was very 2025. This year, our Mercury retrogrades are in water signs. So that is a good thing for you. Then we have Mars here at 5 degrees of Aries. It's home sign. Mars is very happy here. And Mars's presence at the time of this new moon is a big part of why I think this could be a moment of that blossoming or blooming of the potential of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. There's a lot of power at the time of this new moon in your first house, a lot of oomph. And Mars in Aries is ready to go, ready to get stuff done, ready to make things happen. So this could mark a time where there's sort of a turning point, a peak in the process in terms of this new side of your self-expression, the maturing of your identity, the doing things in some unique way that's never been done before, the blazing of your own trail. It's such a leadership energy, Aries, this conjunction, this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It's very brave. You're feeling very brave this year. Okay, so after Mars, we have Saturn, and then this is your ascendant. So this is just marking that we're talking about Aries in the first house here. And then we see the moon and Chiron, which is finishing up its time in Aries this year. And then we also have the sun. Oh my goodness, what an amazing stellium of planets. Look to the end of April as sort of a significant time potentially for you. And I do mean for you, not for your partner, not for your job, not for your children, for you. You're having a big moment here. If you happen to be watching this closer to this time and feel like leaving a message in the comments about how this is showing up for you, I would love to hear. You know, Aries is such a bold and brave and courageous and unique sign anyway. To be having this sort of energy sort of with you this year, emboldening you, empowering you. It's very empowering. It's a good word for these transits that we're talking about, these first two. And you know, I think it'll be kind of nice for Chiron to move on to the second house in June as well. There's been a healing process that's been unfolding with Chiron moving through this part of the chart. Chiron entered Aries in 2019. Since then, you've been doing a lot of healing, a lot of inner work, and that's a wonderful thing, but it can feel a little difficult too. So here, this year, to have Chiron finishing up the transit through this house and sign, while Saturn and Neptune are entering, It's very interesting. It's like you have the potential now, Aries, to really incorporate some of those lessons from Chiron. Chiron is all about turning wounds into wisdom, taking parts of you that were once not broken, but injured, and then through the healing process, learning something that you can then share with others. It's like the way that we're really only able to give good advice about things that we know about, right? Anything that we've moved through, it's a lot easier to then be a teacher about those things. But only if you've healed them, only if you've worked through them and come out the other side. Just having the problem doesn't make you a good teacher of how to get through it. But yeah, I think all of the healing work that you've been doing in terms of your identity, your expression, your relationship with yourself since 2019, it's like it all comes to something of a head this year. As Chiron finishes up, as Saturn and Neptune move in, you have taken those wounds and turned them into wisdom. You express differently now, and through that, you can help others. Maybe not directly, because I don't think you maybe are super focused on directly trying to move others in terms of how they're expressing this year. But indirectly, you do it in such powerful ways, Aries. You know, that expression of the best advice you can give is the example of your own life working. If you can be boldly and authentically yourself, lead bravely without necessarily knowing how everything's going to turn out, you encourage others to really be themselves too. Well, I like Chiron moving out of an angular house for you and onto the second house. I think the fact that this is happening at the same time as the Saturn Neptune conjunction and ingress is fascinating. I think this is a really positive year. I do. 2025 and late 2024, there was a lot of transitioning going on. And that's still true in the beginning of 2026. But this is a really nice year, too. We're sort of in the new now, especially once Uranus re enters Gemini in April of 2026. Then we'll have all three of these outer planets in their new signs: Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. And we'll sort of feel like we're in this new era for real. Less transitioning, and I think especially for you, more feeling the sweetness and the rewards of all your past efforts. I think 2026 is a year where some things come together for you personally. Some personal things that you've been working on for a while about your identity, the way you express in the world, and your relationship with yourself. All three of these points that we talked about today really related to your first house. Again, there is so much more in the astrology of 2026. I am wishing you an amazing, wonderful year, Aries. Thanks for watching.